Can we talk about how exhausting job search has become? You spend so much time on getting your resume ready for a job. You compose a cover letter and you submit, hopeful, and then you hear nothing, crickets. And you check, and that job posting is still up. What is going on? Well, I'm going to tell you something that's going to validate your feelings and also make you angry because Resume Builder recently did a study that said that 40% of jobs in 2024 that were posted were fake. The job market really is this broken. And today I'm going to talk to you about why. So let's talk about what ghost jobs are because I want you to know you're not losing your mind out there. So these are otherwise known as fake jobs or phantom jobs. And these are postings that come from legitimate companies, companies that you know of. And they either are for jobs that don't exist or jobs that they may hire for in the future, or it could be someone forgot to take down a job posting. But you're going to find these on legitimate job boards like Indeed and LinkedIn. Now, this has been increasing, and Revelio Labs had a survey in 2019 that said 8 out of the 10 posted jobs in their survey did result in a hire. Now, sometimes for various reasons, a company could put a posting up and then decide that they're not going to hire. That does happen. But when Revelio Labs did this survey again in 2024, that number dropped to 4 out of 10. Now, that's an indication that something is going on in the job market. There is more ghost jobs. So, I want to talk about the difference between a ghost job and a scam job because sometimes people mix the two up. So, a ghost job is from a legitimate company. They have a website that's legitimate, people on LinkedIn that are legitimate. And the difference is these jobs may not exist, they may be speculative, they may have forgotten to take them down, but the company does exist and they are a legitimate company. Now, that is different from scam jobs, and these are spoofed. They are not legitimate companies, they're not legitimate recruiters. Their sole goal is to get either money from you or information from you. And they do it by making this process seem very simple and for you to get paid a lot of money for a job, more than the market should say. And then they're going to ask you for your personal information. They're going to ask you for your bank account information. And a telltale sign of this is when they want you to go to either text or WhatsApp, where legitimate companies generally don't conduct their business. So always be aware. Now, we throw around the term ghosting, and ghosting actually is a little bit different than what I'm talking about. Ghosting, candidate ghosting, is when you are in the process with an organization and they cease communications with you. So usually after an interview, they're supposed to follow up with you and you hear nothing. You follow up with them asking what's going on and you still hear nothing. This candidate ghosting shows that the organization has bad communication skills, and certainly that is a red flag, but that is different than ghost jobs. If you like this content, I always appreciate hitting that like button and go ahead and subscribe to my channel. It really helps. So why would actual legitimate companies do this? And frankly, why would they waste your time and theirs? It kind of can come down to two different buckets of reasons. One, I would put in there, yeah, I kind of understand that. And the other bucket is, are you kidding me? So let's talk about more legitimate reasons to do that. The first one is you're building a pipeline of candidates. So if a company expects that they're going to be hiring for a role, maybe it isn't open now, but it will be open in the future, They want to build their pipeline of candidates so that they can go ahead and as soon as they get the okay, they can start interviewing. So they're putting that out there in anticipation of a hiring need. So they should, for transparency's sake, put that in the job description, but many do not. Another thing is that it could be that it was human error. Recruiters try to make sure they follow all the processes, and sometimes they are automated, but sometimes they're manual, and you actually have to take down a job posting from a job board, and they may have just forgotten. It does happen. But there are some really messed up reasons why organizations would do this. Now, one of them is they're using you as a free focus group. They want to know about, what the market looks like for candidates. They want to get an idea of salaries, and maybe they want to see if their job description really is enticing to get people to want to apply. So they're using you for free to get that information. Another reason is an employer might be posting a job to calm down their current employees who feel overworked. They put the job posting out there, and then they can say, well, we're looking for somebody to help you, when in fact they're actually not intending to hire and fill that position. Another thing which is awful is when an employer puts a fake job out there to intimidate their current employees. So a little different than, people feeling under-resourced. This is actually to tell the people that currently work there that, if they're agitating, they feel like it's not a good work environment, well, you know what? You're easily replaced. You don't like it? We're going to be looking for your replacement. All of these are pretty bad. And as a job seeker, you obviously don't want to work at any of these places. That is why you should know the reasons behind some of these fake jobs. These ghost jobs have real world ramifications for not just you, but for a lot of things. But let's start out with you. They cause you to waste your time. That time that you spent applying to that ghost job, well, you could have applied to legitimate jobs. Or you could have taken that time to do some self-help for yourself, work on yourself mentally, physically, spiritually. So yes, there's a cost to you, but there's also additional costs. Our U.S. Federal Reserve uses data about job openings to determine policy. So if the data that they get is skewed, that can cause them to do things that they wouldn't normally do because the data they have is not correct. Another thing is it can ruin the reputation of an organization when the community finds out, well, they're posting jobs, but they're not real jobs. Then that can be a problem for them for hiring in the future. And then there's also ramifications for the people that work there. If a company is posting jobs to try to intimidate or to placate the people because they're under-resourced, and they find out that that's what's going to happen, that is broken trust. And that also has long-term ramifications for an organization. That is why this is such a huge problem. I'm going to give you 6 tips on how you might discover that a job is a ghost job. The first is if it's been up for months. Now, sometimes, the process will take a little longer to fill a job. We're seeing those times increase as the number of interviews required. But if you're seeing a job that's been open for 3 months, that usually is an indication that something is going on there, and that's not good. So I would be wary if you see a job posting that's been up for that long a time. The second thing is be careful of job postings that are pretty vague. They aren't specific about the job requirements that they're looking for. That could be an indication that they just put something up there and they're just trying to see what's, they can get. Or, if they've got a title in there, they can point to that and say, yeah, we're hiring to give you extra help, people in my company. They're not putting the effort into that posting, and it shows. The third thing you can do is double check that the job is actually posted on the company website. So you may have seen it on a job board, and when you click the apply, it goes straight to an application. But if it's not on the careers page, it might be that somebody has forgotten to close it out. So just check to make sure that there's some consistency there. Another thing to check is if you see duplicate listings that maybe have a slightly different title or they're in a different location. Now, it could be that they are hiring for the same position in multiple locations. A larger company might do that, but just be a little bit aware of that, and I would do some further checking. Another thing to think about is if you've heard that a company has had layoffs or is in a hiring freeze. Now, generally, they won't do a lot of hiring. If that's the case, it doesn't make economic sense for them based on what they've said. If you see jobs posted in these situations, now sometimes they still have to backfill positions that are crucial for the company. So even if they've announced layoffs, etc., they still may be hiring, but I would be extra careful about that. And lastly, you can always go directly to the recruiter and send a message and ask if they are actively looking for candidates. That might be the best way. And if it is a legitimate position, the recruiter should be able to confirm that for you. Here's what I want you to know. If the job market feels impossibly hard now, you're not imagining it. Parts of this process are broken. But just know there are many companies that are legitimate and who would never do this. And the jobs that you see, they are hiring for them. So make sure that you are putting out the best application you can. And there is a job out there for you. I know it. There is one. Sometimes it may take going through a lot of ghost jobs to find the one that is right for you.